I gotta spend a lot of time, energy, money, and hormone balance to learn the hard way. I don't recommend. Alright, y'all. Today was a little bit of a mess, okay? You can probably see it in my hair, but we still here, okay? We are still here. Trained earlier today, and I'm wearing the same clothes that I trained in, except for the shirt. You might be able to smell me from over there. And I have been trying to get nice and ready for these videos. That lasted 2 videos. I wanted to talk a little bit about 10 new bikini competitor mistakes, okay? I might have made 9 out of 10 of these, for real, and I'll tell you which ones that I made that were mistakes. If you've never done a show, I think this is great because this can help prep you for success, particularly in the bikini category. So if you take this advice, I definitely think this can help you and help you avoid a ton of mistakes. I feel like we need to learn through experience anyways, and your journey is not going to be perfect, and you're going to learn a ton through trial and error. But I think with these tips, they can definitely still help you and prep you and know what to expect. Okay, first on the mistake list, which I have made. Not spending enough time training or having weightlifting experience prior to your prep. I just really wanted to step on stage one day, and my goal was to be a bikini competitor, and I just signed up for a team and decided to do a 13-week prep. I was already like super active in working out. I was doing a lot of HIIT training, a lot of cardio and running, but I had no experience in bodybuilding and resistance training, particularly to build a certain physique. Maybe it is your goal just to have the experience. I wish I would have spent more time building knowledge and information and building my physique prior to ever even doing a prep. So again, my first day of prep was like one of my first days of ever actually bodybuilding or resistance training. Having enough time to build your physique so that you can be competitive and you can meet the criteria, whatever category that you want to do. The second mistake that a lot of people make, I made the same mistake, is not spending enough time in between shows. Started becoming an athlete, you love the lifestyle, you want to continue being a competitor. Well, you are going to have to take some time in between shows. As you may know, bikini competitors get pretty lean, a lot leaner than probably their natural state for the most part. So, and you probably had to get pretty aggressive to get that state of leanness. So probably not eating a ton, doing a lot of cardio, as well as on top of your training, your supplements, just like everything. So because that is aggressive, you should be not in that state of aggression for a long time. Very important, like after you do get to that aggressive state of leanness, and you become out of it, your hormones are probably out of whack, you may have lost your period, your hunger cues might be completely off, your just hormones are all over the place. So that being said, you need to spend a lot of time in between shows for a lot of just your overall health, as well as building too. You should be getting feedback from the judges after your shows or whatnot. Let's say they said you need to spend some time building glutes. I have to spend some time in improvement season, not in a calorie deficit or not in a cut, to stay extremely lean to build those glutes. So you have to spend a lot of time in your improvement season, in the season where you're not in a calorie deficit. So again, you can build and you can just make sure you have optimal health to do a cut or to do a prep in your future or your next season. By the way, I did do this myself. My first ever show that I did was a 13-week prep. After that, I didn't really do well, so I wanted to do another show right after because I was already in the state of leanness. So I decided to do another show 8 weeks later after my first show. So was definitely in an aggressive cut. Imagine I was, doing a lot to maintain this unrealistic level of leanness for my body. So after that, I did gain some weight. I think about a month and a half after I did my second show, got my breast done, and I think a month and a half after I got my breast done, which was like 2.5, 3 months after my show, I decided to do another prep. Just got implants, so you can only understand like the amount of inflammation I was facing. So my body was not in an all-time prime to like be in a cut in a prep, okay? I needed to spend some time recovering from not only my first 2 preps, which I was on those preps altogether for almost 6 months, and then getting breast augmentation like a month after that. And the day before my breast augmentation, I was like 160 pounds. The next day I was 172 pounds, like after my breast augmentation, and I stayed 172. It made me feel so uncomfortable and just not good in my own body, because here I was in this this state of leanness that was lean for me for a long time, because I was in that prep for 6 months overall, to like being 25, 30 pounds heavier. I wanted to start a prep. You can imagine that was not good, and that third prep was 9 months of gruesomeness, and I didn't even step on stage. My body was not responding well. I was doing like 2 hours of cardio, not eating enough. It was just a mess, okay? So if you actually just spend some time, rather than have that itch to compete because you want to be lean and you don't feel comfortable in your body for being a little heavier than normal, don't do it. It will be a worse decision. One of the worst decisions you can make, and that prep will be horrible. I cried like every day. And you will save a lot of time, energy, and money if you just take some extra time to recover from your prep, and in my case, recover from my breast augmentation. So learn the hard way. So number 3, a common mistake that new bikini competitors make, I definitely probably made this as well for sure, not being disciplined or live the lifestyle without a prep or a coach. At the end of the day, competing can definitely make you goal driven, can make you reach the transformation you always desired to have. It can just create such amazing habits and mental toughness. The thing is, it's a lifestyle. So I do see a lot of competitors with my athletes, and I was like this, I would say in the beginning, they hop on a prep because they feel out of control, or they feel like they can't adhere to their nutrition program like they could on prep if they didn't have that accountability of the show and their coach. This is definitely a common mistake. It's very important to enjoy the training, enjoy the cardio, enjoy managing your nutrition. I just encourage you to practice the lifestyle. It'd be really hard to be successful in this sport if you can only have that discipline while having a coach. A coach is important, but you should already enjoy the lifestyle, and a coach shouldn't be the only reason why you're disciplined. That's just a very common mistake I see among new bikini competitors. The 4th mistake that a lot of new bikini competitors made, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but this is very true for me too, actually never going to a bodybuilding event or show prior to their first show. I definitely did that. I had never been to a show my first show. Thank God I was on a team. I was on Team Zero Gravity, and there was like 6 of us, and almost, I would say all of them had done a show before except for me. And so they were definitely showing me the ropes, telling me what I need to do. They were just so amazing. I wouldn't have known it otherwise what to do. I think it's very important to go to a show and see how it's ran, see how long it is. It's definitely going to help you get perspective on how a show is ran, see if you even like it, see how you feel when you're in the audience looking at the people on stage and whatnot. It's so important to just attend a bodybuilding event or show so you know what you're getting into. And I didn't do that. Also, just so you know, it wasn't until a month after my second show, I didn't know what the Olympia was. I didn't find out after going to a show to support my teammates at the time, and they were talking about the Olympia, and I was like, what's the Olympia? And this girl just looked at me. She was like, you compete in bikini and you don't know what the Olympia is? And I was like, no. She's like, the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. It's like every bikini competitor's dream. And I was like, I was just trying to meet a goal and step on stage in a bikini because I used to never wear a bikini. So you can imagine, I learned the hard way of what the Olympia was, and 8 months into prep. But yeah, that's the 4th mistake, never going to a bodybuilding show or event. So you really don't know what you're getting yourself into on show day, and it can make you a lot less prepared on show day and a lot more nervous because you have no idea, no experience, nothing. You have no imagery of what it's like. Of course, that can elevate your stress levels on show day, which is not what you want, okay? So I had to take off my shoes. I was just a little uncomfortable. And don't mind me, but this is my guilty pleasure. I know it's an obnoxiously large big gulp. You can judge me later. Okay, let's get comfy. Get comfy again. Number 5. Okay, mistake number 5. Not knowing their macros and not understanding the basics of nutrition. I think that is so important to at least to have a basis of knowing what protein, carbs, and fats are and the type of foods that go in protein, carbs, and fats, so you can understand your meal plan. I understand some competitors, they just like want to be given a meal plan, they don't want to think about it, they have a lot going on in life. I completely get it, okay? You do not need to like build your own meal plan or food list or whatnot, but I do think you need to know what your macros are. And just in case something does happen, you left your meal at home and you just need to be able to like, okay, well, how can I hit those macros otherwise? You forgot it at home or it spills or whatever, and you just don't know, you can't make that food right then and there, you're almost gonna feel screwed, you know? But if you do have the understanding of your macros, you can definitely solve that issue without freaking out. Figure out a protein source, a carb source, and a fat source and hit that meal, which is really important. And also like when you're on a cut, you should know like, okay, what type of macros is a deficit for you, so you can start learning your body. I think that's also very important to understand your body in your improvement season as well as your prep, so you can understand how it responds, about how aggressive you need to get to, and that this is all the process of learning your physique. So I think it's so important to understand, just know your macros and understand the basics of nutrition while on your prep. Again, you don't have to create your own meal plan. Your coach can do that for you, and a lot of coaches do that because they want to control all the variables, but don't go in it with no knowledge. That is definitely a big mistake that a lot of people make in the beginning of their prep. Their coach just gives them something and they're just like, that's all I want, without really learning a lot. That can be very limiting. More knowledge you should obtain, so it just makes you more of an experienced competitor overall. So super important. So the sixth mistake that a lot of new bikini competitors make is not prioritizing posing. Posing is a very powerful tool. It's very important. You will not win or be competitive if you do not know how to pose, unless everybody just has horrible physiques and everybody is horrible at posing. Even if you have a killer physique, like phenomenal looking physique, impressive, meets the criteria, if you're not presenting it well and maybe you're posing in a way that doesn't enhance your strengths, or if you don't have any stage presence or confidence up on stage, like it will show. And that can definitely limit the success at your show. To control all the variables, and posing is one of them. You need to enhance your body so that it meets the criteria in the category that you're competing in. So for example, bikini, X shape, balance, symmetry. You have, you're not overly conditioned, but you're lean enough so where you can see slight separation in important areas. X shape is so crucial, but if you're not posing in a particular pose that creates that X shape, well, you're not going to look good towards the judges, especially if other competitors are posing well and showing an X shape. Also, posing is really hard. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to elongate. You have to hold that tightness. It's so hard to do. It's not a natural thing at first. And it's really hard to create a tiny waist and broad shoulders and big glutes. Also, another thing, sticking to a pose. It's so hard to stick to a pose for 10, 15, 20 seconds. In bikini, you shouldn't really be flexing, but you have to keep everything extremely tight. And you're gonna wanna like let it all out, but you can't, because then it's gonna take away from your presentation and your X shape. So it's so important to practice that posing so that you look good on stage, okay? Because let's say you worked hella hard for 13, 16 weeks or whatever the case may be, you got lean, you look good for stage, but you didn't present it well in your posing. You're probably not gonna place well or to the best of your ability, because somebody else who maybe didn't have the best physique as you, but was close and had better posing, I would probably say they would give it to her because she was able to present it better than you. So practice your posing, practice, practice, practice. Pose, pose, and pose. It's not natural at first, so you gotta practice and you gotta work at it. For a lot of people, I would say posing is the hardest more than anything. One of the mistakes I didn't do. All right, so number 7. This is a big one. I semi did this, semi not, and sorta. Not budgeting or recognizing how much a show and a prep actually costs. What I personally do though, as a coach, I put all in their welcome packet, the estimated prices of everything that they're gonna need, so that actually gives them a budget, somewhat of an idea of what the budget would look like for them doing the show. So I do provide that. There is a lot of costs that come from that comes into prepping for a show, okay? That when you're new, you just are not exposed to this type of information, so you don't have any really idea unless you maybe Googled it. I remember I did Google it, and so I was able to understand how much a show was actually gonna cost. But even if you had that idea and understanding, it's probably still gonna cost more because you don't even realize the unexpected expenses that come with it. Your coach, the cost of your coach is an expense. Your supplements, your training, like your gym, your posing coach, let's say your coach doesn't offer posing, so maybe you're a posing coach as well. Your suit, bikini competitor suits are hella expensive. Your heels, your things to get show day ready. On show day, that's also a different story. So like show day, your tan, your hair and makeup, just like, let's say it's far away from you, so the hotel venue, federation fee to compete in their shows. So for example, you have to pay NPC to be registered as an athlete. Then you have to pay for the categories. So, and there's multiple categories. There's just like a lot of expenses that come with competing that I don't think people really truly understand. You have to take a look at your finances and see if something that you can afford, okay? And you can always try to make things cheaper. Like I know some people try to make their own suit or, you know, do their own hair and makeup, but you worked really extremely hard to look your best on that day. A lot of times, especially for newbie competitors, you don't want to focus on those things because there's just going to be added stresses to your show day. So you hire a professional to do all of them. I do know professionals that do their own tan, maybe do their own hair and makeup, but they've been in the game for a long time and they've got it down. They weren't doing that in the beginning. I can almost guarantee you that. I just think it's really important to understand how much you're going to need a budget and how much it's going to cost and be okay with that, because it's a huge and amazing experience. If you wanted to reach this goal, you're going to have to do what you got to do, and investing in it is part of that. So, okay, mistake number 8, not having a game plan for after your show. Having that game plan, knowing what to expect, can help at least minimize the post-show blues, or at least not make it as severe, or contribute, or it can help not contribute to, you know, binging and disordered eating. Most competitors, I want to say like 99% of competitors definitely have rapid post-show weight gain. You're gonna gain some weight. That level of leanness is not attainable for like 99% of the population. So that being said, you need to have a game plan. One, understanding there might be some weight gain and being okay with that. Reverse dieting and the post-show game plan is actually, for most people, harder to follow than their actual prep themselves. So, and I've heard that from so many people. I would say that's true for myself. You're definitely in a very vulnerable place. And so again, just being aware of that vulnerable place physically, mentally, and emotionally, and just again, trying to the best of your ability to follow a game plan and even have a game plan. My athletes, I do give them a reverse diet protocol. I would probably say almost nearly none of them follow it perfectly. They understand how hard it is and how, that effect that it can have on you, but still being aware. I would just say, have a game plan, be aware. You might not be perfect, but just understand that that's part of the journey. Number nine, I think this is a big one as well. I definitely made this mistake too. Not understanding the judging criteria for your specific category. Understanding exactly what the judges are looking for, exactly the criteria, and making sure that you know what to work on in your physique to best fit that criteria. Starting to be exposed to this world, of course, you're gonna learn that with time, but it is really important to understand where your physique is at, what you need to do to get to fit the criteria to the best that your physique can. And it's so important to train specifically so that you meet your criteria. A lot of people do get coaches that can get them lean and they can get them fit, but at the same time, are they getting you to meet that criteria? That's most important. Even though if you have an impressive physique and you look freaking killer and you can see striations and you can see separation and you just fucking have a 6-pack, 8-pack of abs, that doesn't mean you will do well. It's really important to understand that it's not just to have the most impressive physique there, it's the one that fits best that criteria. I would say I would make this mistake. I knew that you needed an X shape, that you needed nice glutes, but I also was not experienced enough or can see the difference between impressive physiques at that time. I was so new to the game. I was so new to the sport. I just thought everybody that was lean, that you can see some separation, looked amazing. Like I couldn't see the differences between people's physiques. They just all looked great. I definitely can have the detail in my eye now to I guess analyze and critique somebody's physique. That's gonna take some time. Still, regardless, I think it's very important to see who's the best in the category professionally. Like for example, Bikini, Angelica, Isa, Daraja. You're going to see a lot of very talented people at the people competing at the Olympia, at the Arnold, and those who are winning top 5. Look at their physiques, and that will best fit the criteria. It will help you understand the criteria and what the judges are really looking for that certain category, so that you can bring your best and you can understand the sport a little bit better. So something to think about. Mistake is comparing their beginner physique to professional physiques. I know I just said, you know, you need to understand the basis of criteria, so look at the professional physiques, and that should be kind of like your basis on understanding the criteria. At the same time, it is very important to not get discouraged because your physique doesn't look like that. Professionals have spent years developing their body, and also they probably don't look like that year round. You're probably seeing photos of them being show ready, depleted, you know, going through a peak week, all that stuff. So that's their prime condition of their physique. Understanding that their physiques, that's probably their chapter 15 or 20, okay? And you're on your chapter 1 through maybe 3 or 4. So understanding that your physique is not gonna look like that, and it's gonna take years of building, years of building. Also, don't want that to discourage women, be like, well, why do I look like that and I look like this? Like, that's how I was just like, man, like these physiques look killer, why did mine look like that? Another thing is you do need to understand that there, especially being an NPC, there's going to be some use of enhancements. So not saying that these women are not working hard, but there is going to be use of enhancements to help them along with their work ethic and along with their game plan and their years of experience and training under their belt. But really do focus on bringing your best. It's so important to understand that you can get lost in the comparison game, and it can be detrimental to your mental health, your emotional health, and just being aware that the more that you can practice self-awareness, the better off you'll be. So if you are noticing that you're comparing a ton and it's discouraging you and it's making you feel insecure, like just avoid doing those things. It is a huge common mistake that bikini competitors make that I see a lot in my athletes, where they just like are scoping through social media, seeing all these impressive physiques, not to the point where it motivates them, but to the point that it makes them feel less than, or feel like they shouldn't be bodybuilding or they shouldn't be on prep. You also have to understand that when your first show is going to be at a local show, probably going to be a small show, so the physiques that you'll be competing against, maybe you'll have some competitive physiques, but not all physiques are going to look like what you see on social media from the professional athletes. I just also think it's to be very aware that the level of competition does change between regional, national, and professional level, and so to understand what pictures you're looking at and what level they're at, and understanding the difference between your level and their level. I would say I made this sometimes, but I don't know, like I always knew that I wasn't going to be the most gifted, but I'm going to work hella hard, and I really do love the journey. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because it is, at that point, it is about you, and it is about you reaching your goal and bringing your best. Every body is different. So definitely needed to make a note of that. So, and that's it. Those are my 10 newbie bikini competitor mistakes. So I would say I made like 8 or 9 out of 10 of them. You just swim in silence. Silence for all the mistakes I've made. I don't regret any of these mistakes because I am somebody who has to learn through my mistakes. I gotta spend a lot of time, energy, money, and hormone balance to learn the hard way. I don't recommend. Hopefully this can help you avoid some of these mistakes, save you some time, energy, and money in your experience. But regardless, we're gonna make mistakes. We're not gonna be perfect, and guess what? The best thing to do from these mistakes is learn from them and grow and evolve and then get better. So very, very important. I hope y'all enjoyed these 10 new bikini competitor mistakes. I love doing this type of content. It's my favorite. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. I will see y'all soon. Thank you so much for watching my video.